What's up and welcome to My Point of View. I am your fat and opinionated host, and it is no secret that Bud Light has always been one of the most popular, best-selling beers at sporting venues all across America. Don't get me wrong. I don't think Bud Light is really anyone's go-to beer. Like if you want a cold beer after work, I doubt you're picking Bud Light. But Bud Light has always been like the default go-to beer, what I would call the social beer. Like when you're at a football game or a baseball game or a sporting event, maybe you're at the fair, you're at a wedding, at a little party. It's like Bud Light is always kind of the social, just default beer that's always there. It's no one's favorite, but it's there and it would get the job done. You know what I mean? But now, I think that is going to drastically change. Now, don't get me wrong. I always knew that this boycott had the ability to be something serious. That this boycott could be very effective. But I was wondering how serious people would take it in just an everyday setting. Like when you're out and about. Will you really, go out of your way to drink a different beer? A lot of people seem to believe that this boycott is just an internet talking point. Like, yeah, we're all talking about it online, but are people really about it? Are people really boycotting this beer? I get that content creators such as myself, we're out here making videos, we're making fun of Bud Light. It's a conversation that we're all having. But how much of what goes on the internet spills over into the real world? A lot of people think that this boycott of Bud Light is nothing more than an internet talking point. But we have proven them wrong about that. You could look at their drastic drop in sales. You could look at the fact that they're scrambling, firing people from their company. They're spending millions of dollars on a new ad campaign to try to make up for some of the lost sales that they lost because of Dylan Mulvaney. So this boycott is not an internet talking point. It has real world effects. But even I was wondering how serious people are about this. Like, if you're at a baseball game and you see the Bud Light booth and you want a beer, are you going to go buy one? Or will you go out of your way to stand in a longer line to buy something else? Well, now we have videos all across the internet of people at baseball games across America. And one thing that all of these games seem to have in common is the Bud Light booth is completely empty. No one is showing up to buy Bud Light. Not a single soul is showing up to buy Bud Light. People are waiting 30, 45 minutes in long lines just to buy a different beer because they don't want to support Bud Light. And like I said, this is worst case scenario for Bud Light because Bud Light has become the meme. It has become the joke. The social peer pressure is stopping people from buying their beer. No one wants to go to the game with your buddies and stand in line at the Bud Light booth so everyone could point at you and make fun of you. Now, buying Bud Light, it comes with there's a certain stigma attached to it. There's a certain stigma like you are a joke if you buy the joke beer, right? And that was Bud Light's worst case scenario. Because you see what Bud Light was hoping for, they were hoping that, this would blow over. It's obvious that it's not going to blow over. But they were hoping that this boycott, it could, it would focus mainly, it would be mainly on the internet. That it wouldn't have as many real world effects. That people at sporting events, when you're out and about, you're just going to grab a Bud Light regardless. That's what they were hoping. That's what they were banking on. But it's not happening. People are literally standing in long lines just to avoid buying Bud Light. And I love to see it. It shows how effective something like this can be. And we need to copy and print this same exact blueprint and attach it and apply it to all of these other woke businesses that have been doing the same thing that Bud Light is doing. Look, I'm just going to be 100% honest with you. If you can't get some probably already drunk baseball fans, and yeah, you gotta be kind of drunk to enjoy baseball. If joking, don't get mad. If you can't get some already halfway hammered MLB Boston Red Sox fans to buy your beer at a baseball game where your beer is one of the only options. And the booth is empty. You can literally come buy a beer and get back to the game. If you can't sell your beer that way to that demographic, then you're not going to be able to sell your beer to anyone. Bud Light's main hope in all of this is that, people, when they're out and about in the hustle and bustle of life, they'll just go ahead and buy Bud Light. When you're at the NFL game, when you're at the baseball game, a lot of that other stuff you got going on in your life, it kind of goes out the window. At least maybe now, for convenience sake, you'll buy a Bud Light. But it's showing that people, even for convenience sake, even halfway drunk people at the baseball game or already completely drunk people at the baseball game, they won't even buy Bud Light. So how do you expect to sell Bud Light at the local grocery store or the local convenience store when you can't even sell it at the baseball game, when it's one of the only options and the cheapest option and the fastest, quickest option, and you can't even sell beer that way? So I don't think you're going to be able to sell beer to people who have hundreds of different choices sitting in front of them at the supermarket. This is worst case scenario for Bud Light. It doesn't get much worse than this. What they are banking on now, they are going to try to turn this around in time for the NFL season. Do you know how much money they make per game? Do you know how much money they make per season at every NFL stadium across America? That is tons and tons of money that they're going to lose out on if we keep this thing rolling. And I'm telling you all right now, it is very important that we keep this thing rolling right into the NFL season. If the NFL season opens up and you see empty Bud Light stands like what we're seeing at these baseball games, it's game over. It's complete and utter game over. I don't even know if Bud Light will be a thing in a couple of years. If we manage to carry this thing into the NFL season and even further than that, it's over for Bud Light. Bud Light, when it released that ad campaign with that cross-dresser, it totally destroyed its customer base. A lot of customers will never drink Bud Light again. But even the people, the demographic that they tried to appeal to, they're turning on Bud Light as well. So it's not like Bud Light lost a lot of customers, but in turn appealed to a lot of new customers and a new demographic. No, it alienated its original customer base, and then it's offended the new customer base that they were trying to go after. So it's just getting bombarded from all sides, and no one on any side is buying the beer. So it's weird because this Bud Light situation, it seemed like a moment that would stroke division, put fuel on the fire of the division in America. But now I see all of us coming together, like people who love Dylan Mulvaney are coming together with the people who hate him, and we're all like, yeah, none of us are going to drink Bud Light. So we found common ground. It's so weird that in America, we are so divided, yet we found common ground in this culture war. The normal, regular, everyday people like me and you, we don't want nothing to do with Bud Light. And the people who are confused about their gender and they identify as animals and all that weird stuff, they don't want to drink Bud Light. So no one's drinking Bud Light. And the joke is on Bud Light because Bud Light is now a meme. It is now nothing more than a joke. It's something that you point at and laugh at while you go buy other types of beer. But let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. While you're down there, hit that thumbs up button, hit that subscribe button, ring that notification bell. And remember to always remain opinionated.